Hey everyone, it's Axel, and before we dive in, I've got some exciting news. There is a giveaway for the SLA3 IEM. This giveaway is for the channel subscribers, and entering the giveaway is super easy. If you are subscribed to the channel, just drop a comment under this video. After 10 days, we will pick a random winner and announce the winner only on the community tab right here on YouTube. The winner will be contacted through the official channel email, media@gizaudio.com, and we'll confirm it in the announcement post. And after that, we'll send your info to Myer, who will send you your IM. Now, just be careful, guys. Don't reply to anyone claiming anything, that you want anything, like on Facebook, Discord, email, and all that stuff. Just be aware and careful of these things. And the last thing I want to say is, thanks a lot to Myer, for making this happen. Good luck to everyone. And with that out of the way, let's get started. Today, we're going to talk about the Myer SLA3. This is a hybrid IM that comes with one dynamic driver, 3 balanced armatures, comes at a price of around $103, and it's actually called the SLIIVO SLA3. I don't know what is SLIIVO, who is SLIIVO, so I'm just gonna call it SLA3 for short. This is an IM that impressed me in a lot of ways, but it's not perfect. So let's start with talking about what comes in the box. Inside the box, you get this very nice zipper carrying case, the same one that comes with the CK2V, if I remember correctly. This is a nice case, it comes in a nice size, pocketable size. You can carry it in your pocket. Looks and feels really nice. And inside that carrying case, you'll find 6 pairs of silicone ear tips in 3 different sizes, along with a pair of foam ear tips. Other than that, of course, you do get a fantastic modular cable, and let's talk about that cable. This is a cable, folks, that's honestly fantastic. It has no memory, and it's an amazing cable. It's modular, by the way, and it has this connector that feels durable, feels premium, really solid, like it has a screw-in mechanism. And the cable is an average thickness, the way I like it. It doesn't tangle with me. It's very soft. It's not microphonic, and it has a working chin slider, right? So getting a modular cable like this one at this price point is a huge win, in my opinion. Let's have a look at the build and fit on comfort. The SLA3 has, this is the design of the faceplate, as you can see, and it has a small resin shell with a metal nozzle. For people that like metal nozzles, this one even has a lip at the top so that, your ear tips don't randomly slide off. Now, if you notice here, the size of this earpiece is not big. For me, this is kind of, in my opinion at least, it's a bit small. You can see the 2-pin recessed connector, which is my favorite type of connector. This is a compact IM. It's really, it's almost like smaller than my thumb. So it's a really compact IM, and for people who have small ears, or they like, to have a small or compact IM, this is probably going to be a good fit. Comfort-wise, these are actually very comfortable. Like the nozzle diameter is 6.2 millimeter at the widest point, and they don't have a lot of thickness. I actually fell asleep with them, so that should tell you something. No pressure buildup for me, no discomfort, noise isolation is above average, and let's move on to the good stuff. Let's talk about the important aspects, the most important aspect, which is the sound. Let's look at the frequency response graph here. I will describe the SLA3 tuning as a mild V shape, maybe sub-bass boosted, mid-range focused type of sound. The overall tuning here gives the sound a bit of like a clean, sound signature. It's a clear sound signature, detail-oriented sound. It has that contrasty, dynamic, lively sound signature that just puts a lot of elements, in the forefront, and it's excellent for clarity, separation. And let's break it down by starting with the sub bass or the bass. The bass here is very sub bass focused, right? So you get a deep, strong rumble that actually rumbles very hard. Like if you listen to tracks like Hypnocurrency by Deadmau5, from the first 2 seconds, the SLA3 is rumbling hard, right? There is a very enjoyable and fantastic rumble. Same thing continues with, like, for example, Angel by Massive Attack, or other, even like Kendrick Lamar, like I've always start to notice the rumble going on when I'm listening to that. Now, when it comes to the bass quality itself, I wouldn't describe this as completely one-noted. It still has good texture, good separation between the bass notes. The bass sounds realistic, but I will say it's a step behind something like the Bass Explorer, which in my opinion has better bass texture. So that kind of gives you an idea about the quality of the bass. When it comes to the mid bass, there is actually a very powerful mid bass impact, but the mid bass here is tucked. We have a mid bass tuck. And this kind of comes into play when you listen to rock and metal music. You start to notice that the kick drums is a bit lighter than expected. It kind of like sounds like a thump. On hip hop tracks though, the mid bass hits harder and I'm getting a very enjoyable and, you know, powerful slam. But I have to say though, it's not where I personally prefer it. I prefer a bit more mid bass, and I kept waiting for it. I kind of wish it had a bit more mid bass just to give me that sense of slam and, you know, satisfying punch that I'm looking for. I will describe this mid bass as punchy, but definitely I just wish it had a bit more. Rumble though, fantastic, you know, extremely satisfying. And if you love deep rumbling sub bass, you'll probably like this one. When it comes to the mid-range of the SLA3, I'll describe it as clean, clear, and completely free of bass bleed. The vocals do sound neutral, forward, articulate, right? You definitely hear every single word, you know, with excellent sense of clarity. This also carries over to the instruments where they sound very clean, very clear. There is no shoutiness whatsoever at any volume with any genre of music, including metal music. And the vocals here do sound neutral, they sound natural, and instruments have this great sense of clarity and definition. I want to emphasize again, the keyword here is vocal clarity. Because of the way the bass is tuned and the mid-range is tuned, the vocals really do stand out here from the rest of the music, and they do definitely pop. But I feel that some people who like a warm sound, they like, you know, a fuller sound, this is not the IEM for that. This is kind of like IEM where it doesn't sound thick or thin, it's kind of like neutral with proper note weight, and I will describe it as a neutral mid-range with crisp articulation. This is where it delivers. When it comes to the instruments, you know, like acoustic guitars have a nice bite, female vocals are extended, well-defined, not sounding harsh, nothing sounds wonky or nasally or anything like that. You know, it's a clean, clear, neutral mid-range presentation. Let's move on to the treble, and I will describe the treble of the SLA3 as being detailed, a bit forward, very well extended. Nothing sounds harsh, nothing sounds metallic, nothing sounds splashy. You know, it could be a bit slightly bright, and I will describe that in a moment. I will just say it's a very detailed treble, and there is definitely a great amount of micro detail retrieval here. Natural sounding cymbal crashes on hi-hats, you know, and all those high frequency percussion sounds and instruments. I will say for most genres, the treble here works really well. Like, for example, even rock music like Polyphia, you know, works great. And I was even listening to some, you know, like metal music like Disturbed. They just released a new single, which is called I Will Not Break. It sounded awesome. But for some, you know, like aggressive metal music and stuff like that, or, you know, if you're super sensitive to the lower treble, the forward treble here might add a bit of intensity. So this is something I wanted to highlight and mention. There is an emphasis here specifically around the 5K region, which isn't a lot actually. It's kind of like at the level of Harman, but if you're sensitive to that range, you have to keep that in mind. Now let's move on to the technical performance, and I have to say the SLA3 here really surprised me. On the technical scale, if I bring it up, I will say the SLA3 is just slightly more detailed than the Truthear Nova, which is crazy, right? The Nova costs a lot more right now, like, you know, so SLA3 is really impressive when it comes to the detail. You could say it's roughly around the same, you know, level of detail as the Nova. There's definitely, at least for me, there's definitely slightly more treble detail, exactly, just a touch, you know, but, you know, let's say it's at that level or slightly better, you know. And as I said, detail retrieval is very impressive. Separation and layering is excellent. Stage and imaging are both average. Like, nothing really stands out to me when it comes to the stage or the imaging. They're not bad. I would say, like, you know, average, like most other IEMs out there. That's kind of like the thing you're expecting here. Timbre is natural as well. For a $100 IEM, you know, or around $100, I think this punch is way above its price, at least when it comes to the detail and the overall resolution. Like, really impressive. So let's start our comparison. I will call this comparison a surprising comparison, all right? I didn't expect it, because this is the SL41 Mark II also from Myer Audio, and this one costs $180, whereas the SLA3 is just $104. But someone asked about that in, you know, under the previous video, and I wanted to do that, and I was surprised when I did compare them. So let's talk about that. They definitely sound more alike than different. They are very close. There are a few key differences, and I will mention them. When it comes to the bass, number one, the SL41, I will describe it just as slightly softer, just a touch, you know, and it has slightly less impact. Number two, the mid-range of the SL41 Kind of sounds a bit more open, more spacious sounding. Number 3, when it comes to the treble, the SL41 Mark II is a bit brighter. Definitely has, you know, more clarity and more detail in the treble. Not a lot, but at least cymbal crashes sound crisper. There's an element of clarity in the treble that is more than the SLA3. And when it comes to the imaging, the SL41 is just more precise and engaging, you know, when it comes to the imaging. Now, the SLA3, when it comes to the bass, I will say it doesn't have a strong impact. I will say just it kind of stands out more to me in hip-hop tracks. It just grabs my attention more. I like the bass on the SLA3 more. Level of detail between those two, for the most part, it's very similar. Like I said, it's just the SL41 has only more detail in the treble. When it comes to the bass and the mid-range, level of detail for me is the same. Separation in the bass and mid-range is the same. The SLA3 has more controlled upper treble and comes with a modular cable, is smaller, has a smaller earpiece, potentially, for me at least, has a more comfortable fit. I feel the SL41 is great for those who want extra air, extra spaciousness, but at the same time, for those people who have the SL41, I feel the SLA3 is going to be a bit redundant when it comes to the sound. Next comparison is the DUNU Kima 2. The DUNU Kima 2 has a lot less sub bass, has a warmer tone, smoother sound, a more relaxed tuning. Feels like a relaxed listen. I listen to it, it's kind of like, you know, I want to lay back, enjoy that. And not only that, it's also more laid back in the treble. It sounds to me like that. I definitely notice it's a bit more gentle, it's a bit smoother in the treble, a bit laid back in the treble, safer in the treble. For people who are sensitive to treble or they prefer to listen to rock and metal, I definitely feel the DUNU Kima 2 could be the better option out there because it's a bit of a safer listen. It's less energetic with a good mid-bass presence, but doesn't hit too hard when it comes to the mid-bass. You know, the treble is more subdued. The SLA3, on the other hand, is more detailed. There's definitely more vocal clarity, stronger sub-bass, more dynamic and energetic sound, and it's more engaging, you know, overall, slightly brighter when it comes to the treble. Kima 2 has a metal shell, you know, and it definitely wins when it comes to the accessories, you know, but for more clarity, detail, and liveliness, I feel the SLA3 delivers that. Last comparison, quickly, is the Nova, and I call this comparison fun, which is this one versus reference. SLA3 is more colored when it comes to that comparison. It has more sub bass, it has more rumble, more vocal clarity, by the way, more contrast, more treble detail, which kind of makes it a bit more fun and engaging. The Nova is still smoother, it's still more neutral sounding, it's still less V-shaped, and in my opinion is a better reference if you want something more balanced and something which I will describe as benchmark worthy. Let's talk about who I recommend the SLA3 to. Number 1, people who like sub-bass boosted sound. You get a lot of quality sub-bass here. Number 2, people who want a lot of vocal clarity without any shoutiness, right? The forward mid-range here, you know, makes the vocal sound articulate and natural. Number 3, people who are detail-oriented listeners. They like a lot of detail in their music. Number 4, people who want, you know, an IEM that has a comfortable, more compact fit. Now, who I don't recommend the SLA3 to, I will say number 1, if you don't like the mid-bass tuck. Again, it's not thin to me, it's not lean, but definitely not warm, and some people like a warm sound, so that's why I don't recommend it for them. Number 2, people who want a lot of mid-bass. If you like a lot of, you know, mid-bass, you know, in your music, this is not it. I will describe the mid-bass of the SL3 as moderate. You know, it's definitely punchy, but it's not at the level like other IEMs that I compare today. Number 3, people who want a warm tuning. This is not a warm tuning. Number 4, people who are treble sensitive, like in the lower treble region. It's not harsh for me, but it still has a slight forwardness around 5K, which could be, you know, sensitive for people who don't like that treble peak. And I don't recommend it for people who want an airy, spacious sound, like, you know, like something like the CK2V is a bit more airy. You know, this one is more natural sounding, more detailed, but natural at least, not airy like the CK2V. And I don't recommend it for people who are looking for something, you know, more neutral sounding, more reference style IEM. This is, you know, a bit colored, a bit V-shaped, but definitely enjoyable. And let's move on to the final rating, and I will give the CK2V a rating of 4 stars, solid 4 stars. This is an impressive IEM, gets a thumbs up from me. I definitely like it. Hope you enjoyed this video, and leave a comment if you have any question, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.